Say that was the only reason. I said it was because you're personable to the common person and you probably would do well with the black vote. Absolutely.
Just because I'm black, there's a lot of black people that don't like me.
Of course. I think race plays a role in a lot of things. Absolutely. And I think that
I think the construct of race has really been forced upon us as just something for us to be woke about and just constantly talk about and use it as these like walls.
Couldn't you say the same thing about Judaism?
Well, let's look at the facts of what I'm saying, though. If you say in this neighborhood where they gerrymander, there's this amount of time. So, hey, I wasn't doing that. I was just gerrymandering the lawyers and the Hollywood executives and the people at the bank that debanked me and then froze my accounts. You know, it's like we want to jump into protecting the idea.
Hey, what's going on, folks? So my first live stream got cut off after 45 minutes, mysteriously by my streaming service, logged me out and kicked me off my own stream. Oh well, I'm back for part 2. Just to sum up my point from the first 45 minutes so we can move on, Tim Pool tried to do the same exact thing Lex Friedman did and said, don't talk about groups, talk about individuals.
And
because the red media controls both sides. It just said it as simple as possible. Jared Kushner was next to Trump. Ron Emanuel was next to Obama. But see, since 1940, go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't that an issue of these individuals? Like you're extrapolating.
I'm going to.
Yes, you're gonna get the same response, but especially if it historically resonates.
What about the fact that it's true?
When you talk in groups, that breeds hate. When you talk about individuals, it solves problems. You're in engineering.
I was gonna say, isn't that an issue of these individuals?
Yet I've proved that Tim doesn't actually live up to that logic. Neither does Luke or anyone there.
I don't like identitarianism. You guys are familiar with what that is?
Well, they started it, and they've been visiting on us. We're trying to break it.
When I was asking you about running for president, you immediately said, well, you know, you'd be good for the black vote. And I said, is that because I'm black? No, not just because of that. So is that. Are you doing the same thing?
I didn't say that was the only reason. I said it was because you're personable to the common person and you probably would do well with the black vote. Absolutely.
Just because I'm black, there's a lot of black people that don't like me.
Of course. I think race plays a role in a lot of things. Absolutely. Other than ask him, please elaborate on this. Are you referring to individuals or are you quite literally blaming an entire group of people? Because Black Lives Matter is actually a bunch of white people. Antifa is a bunch of white people. Please elaborate on this. Are you referring to individuals or are you quite literally blaming an entire group of people? There's actually a bunch of white people. Antifa is a bunch of white people. Please elaborate on this. Are you referring to individuals or are you quite literally blaming an entire group of people?
Yes, you're going to get the same response, but especially if it historically resonates.
What about the fact that it's true?
When you talk in groups, that breeds hate. When you talk about individuals, it solves problems. You're in engineering. Science was used to create atrocities. Engineering, the same. Engineering could be a tool of war.
We're still in the Holocaust. A Jewish friend of mine said, go visit the Holocaust Museum. And my response was, let's visit our Holocaust Museum, Planned Parenthood.
With all due respect, I grew up in the Soviet Union. I'm Jewish. Parts of my family perished in the Holocaust of Nazi Germany. I have to push back that there is a difference of the atrocities at that scale, at that time, on an entire people.
They always talk about groups instead of individuals because it's natural to group things together to better explain something in some cases.
On this, are you referring to individuals or are you quite literally blaming an entire group of people? Because Black Lives Matter is actually a bunch of white people. Antifa is a bunch of white people. Please elaborate on this. Are you referring to individuals or are you quite literally blaming an entire group of people? There's actually a bunch of white people. Antifa is a bunch of white people.
When I pointed out the hypocrisy to Lex Friedman, he blocked me on Twitter. That's fine, but stop crying hate speech when people realize you're a hypocrite. And we're gonna start off this live stream with Luke basically suggesting that Kanye might be medicine damaged because he didn't want to sit there with Tim and Luke having the same politically correct, snowflaked, set up conversation that he already had with Lex.
And I think when he was, institutionalized and drugged in 2016, I think there might be still, I don't know here. I'm speculating. Maybe some larger effects here. Maybe he still hasn't recovered from that, And
I have a lot to say about that. God bless you. The show starts now. Part 2. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I apologize. The first live stream cut me short, so just real quick, I don't want to be boring with it. I use a streaming service that streams to Facebook and YouTube at the same time, and it wasn't Facebook or YouTube that kicked me off. The streaming service just kicked me out, logged me out of my account. It's never happened before. I don't know what happened. Hopefully it never happens again, or I'll have to use another streaming service, and that's the gist of it. With that being said, I was in the middle of it sucks because I had like 4,000 people. Now we have like half that, but it's fine. I was explaining what happened in the Ye Tim walkout situation. And I guess my main point, and then I have some other clips to play, including Republicans like I think McConnell trying to kick Trump out of the party for having dinner with Ye. I'm going to play that clip first. But, you know, there's this idea that Lex Friedman said. He basically, I just played it. I think he said, you know, talking about groups breeds hate. You know, just you can't talk about groups. But then when Kanye challenged his view on history or just like said he was equal, Lex said, well, listen, like, let's not downplay my history because this is my group. What group? Wait, I thought talking about groups was hateful, Lex. And I pointed that out to him on Twitter. It got like 6,000 likes because everyone's like, you know, I like you, Lex, but that is a good point. You said you shouldn't talk about groups, but then you talked about a group. He's a hypocrite. Same with Tim. I already proved that with the beginning, but let's listen real quick before we get into wannabe meth head Luke, who wants to pretend like everyone else is drug damage when they tell the truth of what he's covering up. Let's listen to the Republican Party and how they really feel about Trump because he had dinner.
Everyone. First, let me just say that there is no room in the Republican Party for anti-Semitism or white supremacy. And anyone meeting with people advocating that point of view, in my judgment, are highly unlikely to ever be elected president of the United States.
He's actually not wrong when he says that anybody supporting those two, including anti-Semitism, will probably never be elected. And it's not necessarily because people wouldn't vote for somebody. I mean, I think he's exaggerating with those words, but in general, the Republican Party is mostly funded by people who pass speech laws for Israel and then say they're not doing it. So it is true. You're not going to get the big donor money if you sit down at a dinner with somebody who they deem an anti-Semite. But the thing that's interesting is Donald Trump met with Bill Gates. Mitch McConnell has no problem with that, of course. Donald Trump literally hired John Bolton. Donald Trump has met with pharmacy lobbyists and pharmacy executives. You know, all that's fine, but the Republican Party will throw you out on the street. You could do socialism with Mitch McConnell. He'll print $6 trillion and be a socialist. He'll be like Bernie Sanders, throwing money all over, but that's fine. But how dare you have dinner with somebody that he doesn't want you to have dinner with? It's like, this is such a fake party, and it's not just Mitch McConnell. Here's a Dr. Jordan Peterson before I get into it. I just saw him call some guy an evil rat. One of the guy noticed that he did a message to Christian churches and a message to Muslims. And he said, I couldn't help but notice a religion missing from your message to videos. And he said, you're an evil rat. That guy I had blocked on Twitter. I don't know what he said to me, but it's like, literally, it's just kind of funny. He did a message to Muslim, a message to Christians. And the guy just pointed out, where's your message to Jews? And he's like, you evil rat. It's a legitimate question, bro. I mean, you don't have to like it, but it is interesting. Like why you didn't finish the trilogy of the Abrahamic faiths. You know what? You don't have a message to them too? It could be a positive message. No one even said anything. But this is the party we exist in. I heard Elijah Schaffer did a podcast. I didn't see it recently, but I want to check it out, where he explained the blacklisting that happens if you even, you know, interview Nick Fuentes or you do anything. I had a Jewish chick hit me up who got basically blacklisted from the Republican Party for taking a picture at an event that he was at. I got blacklisted from the Republican Party 3 years ago. I mean, not the whole party, but a lot of these organizations that pretend to be your friend because Nick Fuentes retweeted my tweet. I get hundreds of thousands of retweets, but I'm responsible for everyone who shares my posts? Really? This is the party. So what they're doing to Trump right now because of his dinner, what they're doing to Ye, this is not new and needs to be just condemned and swept under the rug. this is, like Ye said, something they've been doing behind closed doors. Now it's too big for everybody to ignore because it includes Donald Trump and Kanye West, two of the biggest people on the planet. Here's a video, then we're going to get into the rest of the Ye videos, and this is my part 2 reaction. If you haven't seen part 1, check it out. I have half the viewer now because I got my stream shut, but whatever. Luke suggests that Kanye might be like drug damaged because he doesn't want to sit and hang around with Luke and Tim, who could be 15 or 45 years old. They both look like little gremlin manlets living in a little beanie castle. So, you know, I mean, if you don't want to hang out with Luke and Tim and talk for 2 hours and have the same convo you used to have, you must be drug damaged, says Luke.
And I think when he was, you know, institutionalized and drugged in 2016, I think there might be still, you know, again, I don't know here. I'm speculating. Maybe some larger effects here. Maybe he still hasn't recovered from that, you know, SSRIs and what was it, lithium that he was talking about? You know, those drugs have a severe effect on you and could affect your decision making. So, you know.
Well, I don't want to discredit him with that, like the mental health stuff, because a lot of people have said that
I think it's worth discussing.
You can't listen to anything Ye says because he's mentally ill or he's off his meds. All of that stuff is just ad hominem. I think, you know,
I'm not
he's
saying
a 45-year-old man. He's extremely influential, powerful. He can make his own decisions, and I think that he made the wrong one tonight by walking out.
Absolutely. I'm just saying that this deserves also.
I mean, that blonde girl's cool. So is the other blonde girl on the channel. But, you know, Luke is just like doing the same thing that CNN would do or anybody in the media and be like, oh, you know, I mean, he made valid points calmly. And literally, it was just scary for Luke and Tim because they know all their Zionist friends will make them look like anti-Semites. So they're like, oh, scramble. I don't know what a group is. I don't know what a group is. I'm Luke. I pretend to be a truther. I don't know what a group is. And then he walks out because you guys are clowns and little like goblins. And then Luke's like, I think he might be drug. You look like you're drug damaged, bro. If you ever showed up to a CBS lot, they'd be like, the Breaking Bad, you know, extras are down there. You look like a meth head. You look like somebody that partied too much at Anarchapulco and did too many, you know, popped too many pills for too long. You look like a washed up meth head. Oh, but Kanye has a drug problem because, you know, he's saying things that you don't want to talk about. So you play your little safe space snowflake. There's no such things as groups. And yeah, but Luke talks about the elites. Oh, the elites. Well, okay. Can we say, well, that's a group, dummy. What a fake. Don't talk about other people looking like they're on drugs when you look like a shriveled up goblin meth head who got rejected from Hollywood because, you know, Breaking Bad season 3 was already fully casted. Give me a break, liar. Speaking of which, forget where I was. Sorry, I got a little carried away, but not really. I don't even know how. I guess I'll just play the next clip, but I forget the exact point I was going to make. Oh, yeah. If 6 Muslims committed a terrorist attack in England, and it wasn't all Muslims, let's keep in mind that most Muslims are good people, right? Let's be as politically correct as we could be, because I do believe that. 6 Muslims commit a terrorist attack, and I said those Muslims just committed a terrorist attack. No conservative would have a problem with it, including Tim or Luke. They'd be like, yeah, that's true. If 6 Jews committed a terrorist attack, and I said those Jews just committed a terrorist attack, they would be like, I've never heard of a group before. What's a group? What's a group? What's a group? What's a group? Shut up, meth head. Oh, what's a group? What is an ethnic group? What is a religion? Well, their religion's kind of based off their ethnic group, so you probably don't even understand it, or you're just playing dumb or something for your handlers. But you know, the double standards are obvious, bro. Obvious. I don't know what a group is, yet I'm Lex Friedman, and my group is a victim shield that I'm going to use because my group exists and it's important. But when you talk about that group that I say doesn't exist, it only exists when I need to use it to play pretend, and I huddle with my people and say, oh, we're all together. But then when you're like, hey, we don't even exist. It's just talk about individuals, you racist. And same with Tim Pool. He says, white people, white people, white people. Me? Are you talking about me, Tim Pool? Are you talking about my family? Oh, no, you're not Antifa. You're not left wing, you know, BLM. Yeah, but you didn't say not all white people, some white. You said white people. Why? That's a group. It's a description. It's what you're trying to use because you're a fraud. Look at me, Luke. Look at me, Tim Pool. You little beanie goblins. You're both frauds. You're both cowards. You say white people because it's easy to beat down on white people and blame them and just use their words broadly without even fully, acknowledging it's not everybody because no one cares, because, people don't really care. You do that because it's easy. You don't do it with Jewish because you're cowards. You're shriveling because you don't want to lose out with all your Zionist buddies. We know. That's why you do it, because it's easy. It's hard to do the same thing with other groups, so you pretend like you don't see it. You beat down at the left wing, that's a group. The Democrats, that's a group. Muslims, that's a group. White people, that's a group. Antifa, that's a group. Don't talk about Nancy Pelosi and AOC. It's just Nancy Pelosi and AOC. There's no collusion. There's nothing there. 10 million, Christians get together to outlaw abortion. Oh, it's not the Christian. Don't say Amy Coney Barrett's a Catholic. That hurts my feelings. It's not all of us. Yeah, we know, dummy. It's just that's how Catholics feel, and that's how Christians feel. If Christians have an ideology and you can agree or disagree with it, if Muslims have an ideology and you can agree or disagree with it, perhaps Luke Puke, I'm going to call you Puke because you look like, if I threw up and left it on the side of the street for a week, you look like Puke. Could Jews have an ideology? Could they? Could they prefer their own ethnic group over you? Is there a word, goyim? Does that word exist? No. There's no such thing as people who think the same or do the same stuff. It doesn't exist. There's no Muslims. There's just 6 million individuals who just so happen to follow the same Quran, or however many there are, billions. There's no such thing as a Christian. That's a group. It's a word. Words offend me now. I'm Luke and Tim, and I need my safe space. I need my dolly, or else I might get blacklisted, and we can't make money, and power. So you could look like little goblins. You know what I'm saying? We have money and power. Women like us. Finally. Yeah, you don't want the gravy train to stop, do you? But we just don't think that there possibly could ever be a different group that starts with a J that possibly could prefer their own in some sort of way, no, it just can't exist ever. There would never be 20 people of that group that would do something nefarious together. That's worth considering. But just keep saying white people without explaining it's not all white people when you talk, because it's an easy thing to do. You absolute weasel. I don't want to come to your little grimy beanie castle. It probably smells like puke and, like dirty skateboards. If you guys want to talk about the speech laws, if you want to talk about your deception and how you fumbled that interview and covered up and can't talk without crying, I'll have a conversation. If you guys want to read headlines so Tim can make a bunch of money and screw over all his friends, nobody likes him. Nobody who goes to show. I've talked to like 10 people who go to the show. Tim's pretty cool. Like this back when I used to actually like Tim Pool a little bit. I'm like, oh, Tim's pretty cool. Like everyone hates him. They just use him. You have a little beanie castle. You make everybody uses you. You're not actually doing anything. You just read headlines. He apologizes to me 2 days ago. And he's like, I did it for humanity. You didn't do it for humanity, you fraud. You did it because Adam did a whole expose and you felt like you had to save face. So you brought that into it because that's one of the several things you had to save face on. You didn't do it for humanity. I'm not afraid to debate you guys. I just don't want to go to your smelly beanie castle with your shitty staff that, treats me like garbage and lies. But what's the point of going there so Tim can scream over me? Just scream over me reading Mike Pence. Who cares? All you do is like gatekeep nothing. You read headlines that are trendy for clicks, but you don't at least mix it with something that's important, like self-accountability, self-awareness. You could mix a headline with reality but civil war. Oh my God, I'm so afraid. I'm Tim Pool. I'm a little demon. Oh my gosh, I'm a little beanie demon. Oh my gosh, civil war. Pay me. Civil war. Oh yeah, it's a civil war in your head, you psycho. Calm down. And Luke, don't act like Kanye's drug damage because he's smarter than you. You look like a shriveled up meth head. All right, let's play another clip.
And
because the red media controls both sides. It just said it as simple as possible. Jared Kushner was next to Trump. Ron Emanuel was next to Obama. But see, since 1940, go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't that an issue of these individuals? Like you're extrapolating.
I'm going to order with the last of my money that's available in a different account. I'm going to order a PJ before I sit and have another Lex Friedman setup conversation. when I'm literally they're trying to put me in jail for my opinion.
But I get that.
I'm not going to have that opinion. I don't care about people. Those are bots that are trying to tell you. We realize, look at Pence. He sold Trump out. You get what I'm saying? It's like, I would have never wanted to do anything that hurt Trump. I'm on Trump's side. Trump said things that hurt me. He lied about me, but I mean, he's known for lying. And when people used to tell me that, he's a liar, it's like, I went into the trenches for Trump.
I'm going to play more from that clip, but basically he literally warns them before he walks out. He could have stayed. He could have let it, but he literally warned them. He's like, I'll call a PJ is a private jet. Probably no one here is rich enough to understand that, including me. I had to think about it. I'm like, oh, private jet, I get it. But I don't know that because I'm rich enough to know it. I know that because I just kind of put it together in my head. But with that being said, he warned them. He's like, I'm not having another Lex Fridman setup interview. The first thing they did was put, Pence calls you an anti-Semite, white nationalist, all this stuff on the screen. And what do you think about this, Kanye? And Kanye goes, let me, defend myself against these anti-Semitism claims. And they're like, oh, I didn't think we were going to get into the Jewish stuff right away. Bro, what are you talking about? It's not like you put up one of his greatest hits and said, let's talk about music or let's talk about your campaign. You put up an article that called him an anti-Semite, and he said, let me talk about the headline. He talks about the headline, and then Tim throws his hands like a little beanie demon. He's like, wow. Oh my gosh, he's talking about the Jews again. Bro, you put it in the headline, dummy. You can't be that stupid, bro. Shocked that he said that. But he said, I'm not having another Lex Fridman interview. And what that is Lex says there's no such thing. It's this. He literally took Lex's stupid logic, which makes no sense, and repackaged it in a more angry, passive aggressive, midget beanie way. And was like, oh, individuals only group. And then Kanye already knocked him out when it comes to actually telling the truth. He's like, you said when I walked in the studio off camera that I'm good for the black vote. Why am I good for the black vote? Because I'm black. And then Tim had to lie and be like, oh, it's not because you're black. Oh yeah, Kanye's not good for the black vote because he's black. Oh no, it's just because you're good for working class people. Dude, shut up, Tim. Everybody knows you're lying, including you. Just stop, dude. The grift is out. Get your money, keep making money, but just stop lying, bro. You're not fooling anybody. And then he goes on to say white people after he leaves and doesn't specify because he doesn't care. Because he is fine with naming racial groups without specifying because he knows it's not offensive. Unless it's a certain group. All right, let's keep it moving.
That's another conversation. There was no one in my position that wore that hat. And all of my surroundings exhausted me. It was like death by 1,000 questions. I know I'm jumping to another thing, but what I'm saying is, I know you got a rep for your people online, but it's you got a person in real life that I'm not with it, bro. I lost the money for the freedom of speech, and that's what makes me the only American that we know that really deserves to run the country. Because everyone else, your boy DeSantis, Trump, whoever they raise in a petri dish over on the Democrat side is going to play the game.
Look, and here's what I was trying to get to. You went right into the anti-Semite thing. I think it's something that should be talked about. But if you start bringing this up, you're going to ask my opinion on it. I'm going to disagree with you.
Tim is such a weasel. Oh, you went right into the anti-Semite thing. Bro, you put on the screen a Hill article that said anti-Semite in the headline. It was calling Nick a white nationalist, anti-Semite. You put that on the screen. You said, we're going to talk about the news. The news is Mike Pence and the Hill calls Kanye an anti-Semite. And Kanye goes, well, let me talk about the anti-Semite thing. And Tim's like, gee whiz. I didn't know we were going to get right into the anti-Semite stuff. Bro, you put it on the screen, you absolute weasel. I don't want to go to the Beanie Castle. Debate me on Zoom. I don't want to go to your smelly little demon castle. No, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. I don't care if I get 1 million views, $100,000. You and Luke are such low energy, little baby, beanie babies. We'll call you beanie babies, this little thing. You guys are little manlet goblins. Nobody wants to hang out with you. You're condescending. You talk over people. You're rude. You're annoying. You just read nonsensical headlines. And the one time you actually have the chance to make a cultural impact with someone who's talking about something more important than just reading headlines and screaming civil war, You do the same thing Lex Friedman does, prove your hypocrisy and tell him that you think race matters, but race doesn't matter, but you think it matters, but it doesn't matter, but groups don't matter, but they do matter. But I said a group to you before the stream, but I don't know why I said it. Shut up, you absolute weasel. I'm sorry. I just can't allow, like, I don't even care if I disagree with Tim Pool, but the fact he brings up like a hit piece article on Kanye and says, react to the hit piece article. And Kanye reacts to the hit piece article. And Tim says, I didn't know we'd get into that. Dude, shut up, you absolute goblin. No one believes you, bro. And Luke tried to respond to me on Twitter, and he's getting ratioed on his own post. I went to his YouTube video, getting ratioed in his own video. People come for the truth to your side, and you're not being honest. So you could lie forever, or you guys could just admit that you're hypocrites and move forward. Or you could just play a role like everybody else in the media, which it's just embarrassing.
I didn't ask your opinion on it. You jumped into it.
But
I don't care about your opinion. I like your opinion on how we win an election, but I don't care about anybody's opinion, bro. I lost. They tried to put me in jail. They blocked $2 billion I had.
I mean, I'm gonna play another clip. I guess I didn't know it was gonna end so soon. But Tim's like, well, he's like, I'm trying to tell you my story of what happened. I guess it's like if you got jumped by, let's just say this to be politically correct. If you got jumped by 6 Asian guys, you're not saying you hate all of Asia, but you're like, yo, 6 Asian guys jumped me. Asian guys jumped me. No, it didn't happen. I think they're just individuals. Yeah, but they were all Asian. And then also it's like, maybe that was random, but like, I don't know, maybe they're friends or something. You know, like maybe there's something more to it. Maybe there's not. That's for the police to decide. But like, it's like he's trying to downplay his story. He's trying to tell them they're trying to put me in prison for my speech. And Tim's like, well, groups don't really exist. Like, okay, bro.
God is saying, you know, your children are going to be okay. Baby mama's got money, right? God is using me. He's breaking me down, removing all of the, richest person, all of this, so I can serve him. And the more and more those things are taken away from me, the more I can be empty and be a vessel and be able to be used. And right now it's like, you're not going to take, if we can't, you're not going to take my pain away, right? The Jewish people say, it's the Holocaust, this happened, and you can't say anything about it. We can't take their pain away. No one's going to denounce the fact that they tried to lock me up. That's what, because every time I'm just holding stride, and it's like, I thought I was more Malcolm X, but I find out I'm more MLK, because as I'm getting hosed down every day by the press and financially, I'm just standing there.
I mean, it's a good point where he's like, you can't take their pain away, but you're trying to take mine away. I think it's interesting too that he brought this up. I mean, this might be like a harsh comparison. I'm sorry if it offends people. I'm using like a hypothetical. Like, what if you told a Jewish person just to name individuals? Like, don't talk about groups. With your pain, there were no groups involved. They were just individuals. I don't think anybody believes that. They'll say Germany, right? They'll say Nazis. These are both groups. Germany is Germans. Nazi is Germans. They're not avoiding that language to be politically correct because everyone uses groups. It doesn't mean you hate a whole group of people. And especially, I think what Jon Stewart said in the last one, not that he's like my hero or anything. I think he's kind of a liar too, but he told the truth about this, which is fine. Everybody has he was saying just like putting someone in timeout isn't a way to stop them to believe it. And that's what's going on online. That's why this cat is out of the bag now, because nobody cared about this stuff 5 years ago, but people care about it because you ask a question. Even Nick Fuentes says that his path was, I was like a pro-Israel right-winger. He could have been like a little Ben Shapiro. He was in with all those people, and he's explained his story where he said, the reason I woke up is because I asked a question about the foreign aid we were giving to Israel. Every year we give like a couple $2 billion to them. He just asked a question. He said he got shut down. Don't say that. You can't say that. And then it spurred his curiosity, and now he is where he is because every time he tries to talk about something, everybody throws him off a cliff. Anybody who mentions this stuff, you're out. I'm not going to name names, but you've kicked out multiple Jewish women for different reasons. Everybody knows Laura Loomer. I'm not going to disclose other people, but I talked to another, and people know I'm friends with Roseanne too, who got kicked out of Hollywood for different reasons for her, unpolitically correct tweet. But you have conservative Zionists kicking out Jewish women out of their party for taking pictures. There's this whole, you can't take a picture with him. You can't go to, look what they're doing to Trump. What they're doing to Trump and what they're doing to Ye is what they've been doing behind the scenes for years for anybody that questions foreign aid to Israel, that anybody who questions the speech laws that go against the American Constitution, that say that you're not allowed to criticize, George Soros and Mike Bloomberg at the same time, that say you're not allowed to make, claims that a certain group of people have power when everybody knows they have power, just like, the Vatican has power, but that doesn't make you anti-Catholic. There are groups of Jewish people who have power, and, it's to be determined. I guess nobody can ever talk about it, but how much does Judaism play a factor in their power? How much is it atheism? How much is it, ethnic superiority complex playing it? How much is it good work ethic and good families? I think it's probably a combination of both. I don't think, I think there's a lot of really smart Jewish people who work really hard and deserve everything they have. And I think that, other groups shouldn't be jealous of their power if they earned it, fairly. And there's a lot of people that did earn it fairly. But when you play this double standards game all the time, that is also how you achieve power. It's not just because, oh, you're so smart and you got it. It's like you're not even allowed to say that that's happening. So it creates like a lopsided world. It's like if there was a true free market in America, it's okay if this group and that group gets to the top. It is what it is. It's America. I love the fact that in America, all people can make it. Nobody's stopping my hustle. So I don't hate on anybody. But what I'm trying to say is, like, when you rig society, it's not just your merit. Like, it's like affirmative action. When you do affirmative action so much in a certain category, you're going to lower the bar to be a lawyer. You're not allowing the best people of all ethnic groups. It would be like if the NBA was affirmative action and they just put a bunch of like small Asian and white guys in there who can't make a layup because they just felt bad. Then the NBA would suck. That's how every company is, whether people want to realize it or not. So they're not doing merit-based stuff. So the point that I'm getting to with affirmative action and other stuff, you look at certain Hollywood things, they want to make all these, they don't want to hire this group because they are fighting racism by being literally kind of racist, whatever. That whole dynamic, it's not everybody earning it by their merit. It's everybody rigging the scales of society based on race and basically giving some a leg up and pushing others down, regardless of the content of their character or their skill set, which is supposed to be everything everybody's fighting against when they're fighting quote unquote racism. But you'll start to find the groups and the people that claim to be fighting racism, quote unquote, the hardest are the ones who are doing what they're projecting onto others. And it's like, and if you notice that they're doing it, it's the same thing with the L's and the G's and the B's and the T's, where it's like most people, not all, there's a lot of Christians who disagree with everything, but most people in this country now don't really care. That's just the truth of America. It's been completely watered down. But a lot of people do care if you're going to chop things off of like 5-year-olds. But if you do that and you say, oh, it's part of the LGBTs and you're just a homophobe, like now it's getting weird. Now there are going to be people who completely oppose your movement because you're protecting something that is morally wrong. That's way beyond just being an adult and doing what you said you're doing. So now there are a lot of people that are going against, quote unquote, the LGBT movement because you're protecting and defending this evil. The same thing goes with the Jewish thing. It's like everybody's not just against it because they hate. Nobody criticizes Israel. Israel does a lot of stuff. They have a lot of power. I've mentioned this before in my live stream, and it's funny because it's actually a compliment of Israel. I'm complimenting their daftness and their, I would say, government structure. But if you want to serve in the Israel Knesset, there was an article a couple of years ago I read where you have to get rid of your dual passport. This is a fact. I don't know if they're still doing it. This is like a 2016 article. I haven't read that it changed, but it's definitely been the case for a while. If you're a Russian Jew or, you have a Russian citizen and an Israeli citizenship and you want to serve the Israeli government, you have to get rid of your Russian citizenship because they don't want you to have dual loyalty. They want you to completely disavow the other country and serve Israel. I don't think that's racist towards America or Russia or whatever. I think it's smart. I think it's smart to have politicians that serve America and make sure that they're not having dual interests. Do you know how many dual citizens are in the American government? Dr. Oz would have been one from Turkey. But there's a bunch of Jewish Israeli dual citizens in our government. But in the Jewish government of Israel, they don't allow people to keep their American citizenship. But if you say that that's happening, people are going to call you an anti-Semite. And they're actually, this is the part that really bothers me. They're passing speech laws. They've passed speech laws. Facebook, YouTube, what do you think that they're going by? The same speech laws that DeSantis and Trump are passing. Oh, it's not a conspiracy, but it just is. And everybody's going by these speech laws that basically say, and Ben Shapiro's even tweeted this exact speech law that's written on the State Department website. He's tweeted it word for word on his Twitter, and he agrees with it. Just coincidentally, Ben Shapiro, Jewish right-wing guy, agrees with, censorship. Okay, what's the speech law? It says it's anti-Semitism to suggest that any Jewish citizen has dual loyalty, whether they're just racially or religiously Jewish. So it's anti-Semitic hate speech offense, which is a law in certain states and certain areas, to say that there's any Jew, even one Jewish person that has dual loyalty to Israel or more loyalty to Israel. It doesn't exist. It's like Tim Pool and what's the other goblin's name? Puke. They just put their head in the sand and suck up money. It doesn't exist, right? It's just a figment of your imagination. Then why can't, if Pompeo went over to Israel and wanted to serve in their government, they'd make him get rid of his American citizenship, most likely, because that's their rule, because it's smart. I'm not hating Israel. I think it's smart. They're smart. Americans apparently are dumb. I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at us. I've never taken it out on Israel. I take it out on our politicians like Trump, DeSantis, Ted Cruz, Governor Abbott. These are the people that are selling our country out. Many of them are Christians. I'm not hating. This is a sellout. And then one of the speech laws also says that you can't criticize Israel more than other countries. They get to decide how much you criticize. If I were to talk about Israel more than other democratic countries, it's not because I hate them. It's because they're doing the most. They're doing the most. Ukraine. Oh, you must hate Ukraine. They're doing the most. Russia doing the most, I guess like France, they're not doing that much right now. I'm not saying I like France. I can't stand Macron. But they're not really doing that much, so I don't talk about them that much. Netherlands, I just criticize their government, but you can't decide as what I get to criticize and when I criticize and when it's too much, or else this isn't America. And I have a rude awakening for people. Anybody who's been watching me for 3 years, I've been saying this. This isn't the United States of America anymore. It's been conquered, completely taken over by a group that you're not even allowed to name. And I'm not saying it's all people, and I'm not even saying like no one else is doing it. There's Christians in on it too. There's conservatives in on it too. There's Democrats in on it, white people, black people, a lot of people are in on it. But when you hone into what they're doing, sometimes you got to give it a name, right? They're the elites. They're the globalists. They're the, the dual party. It's like, but one very accurate term is Zionist. That's a very accurate term because both of those sides, even though they fundamentally disagree on everything, they agree on a speech law that takes away your First Amendment and right to say that anybody in this country might have loyalty to another country. They're basically Israeli loyalty laws. Go loyal to the country that there is no group, it doesn't exist, but you can criticize your own ethnic group, your own religion, your own country, your own everything. You can criticize all that, but you can't criticize a foreign country. At least in Muslim countries, they pass speech laws for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Or at least like, that's my religion. That's our... Don't criticize God. In this country, it's like you should criticize God. They shit on God every day on television, but you can't criticize a group that exists, like that doesn't even like God most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. And especially the ones that Kanye is talking about. I don't think he's talking about the conservative Hasidics. And to be quite fair, I'm not going to speak for everyone. The conservative Hasidics are probably dealing with it a lot better than the people in like media and politics. I mean, they actually made a hilarious video. I played it the other day where they pretty much just joked about it and made a joke that he really was Jewish. Like, he went to my synagogue. I bar mitzvahed him. I came up with all the lights. He's just hating on himself. He's self-hating. They made a joke out of it. They didn't cry because they're probably so in their zone. They're like, dude, this is not going to make or break my life. Like, long tangent, but important. I'm going to play the last clip or the last two clips. All right, that's the one.
And when I found out that they tried to put me in jail, it was like a dog was biting my arm, and I almost shed a tear, almost. But I still walked in stride through it. Yeah.
I think they've been extremely unfair to you.
Who was they though? We can't say who they is, can we?
Press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking about.
It is them though, isn't it? I mean, because because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018.
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about You leaving?
Are you afraid of the press?
He's gone. I'll say it right now. You guys want to bring that stuff up, and then think we're not going to have a conversation.
Have the discussion.
Like you think he's going to come in here and say, "Here's my pain. Here's my suffering." I'm going to say, "I hear you," and then he's going to say, "And it was Jewish people," and I'm going to be like, "Okay, but don't you consider?" It's like, I'm not going to do this. I refuse.
So when Jewish people talk about their pain, should they not say German? They shouldn't say that. They should just talk about the each individuals. You don't believe these rules, bro. You said they, and Kanye said, who's they? And you said corporate press. He's not even talking about the press right now. See, that's what being a safe space, snowflake, liberal, I can't say certain words because mommy's going to get mad at me and daddy's going to get mad at me. That's what happens. You don't even describe it right. It's like I'm talking about, and I'm not saying it's right. We can have a discussion about how it could be said better, but it's like he's talking about someone who tried to drug and kill him, somebody who's taking away, his financial resources, and you're saying it's the corporate press. It doesn't even make sense. He's not even talking about the press in this particular instant. And Tim's so politically correct. He's like, who do you mean by they? The corporate press? I'm not even talking about the press, bro, right now. It's deeper than the press. I know what's going on though. And you can live a lie and not understand this stuff, or you could listen to what I'm saying, because I'm not going to lie to you. The Republican Party has a lot of donor money, right? I'm taking a big risk. I've probably said this before. I'm taking a big risk saying this, but it's the truth. And I've showcased it, and I'll explain myself perfectly right now, okay? Hopefully perfectly. I don't know. Now I feel like that's karma to mess up or something, but I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Republicans, just like Democrats, get a lot of donor money. If they get $100 million from Big Pharma, they do what Big Pharma wants, including the people that you think wouldn't do it. That's how it works. If I sell a product, they paid me. Good Ranchers paid me. I like them. I did it because they're ethical and they didn't censor me. But I didn't just do it because I wanted to. Yeah, I mean, I like them, but I did it because they paid me. But I'm getting a small portion. I'm not getting $100 million. Do you know what you have to do for $100 million to a corporation? It's a lot bigger than an Instagram post. So if $100 million dumps in from Big Pharma, they do what Big Pharma wants. If donors who just so happen to be Jewish give them hundreds of millions of dollars, not all of them, but most, they do what the donors want them to do. What do the donors want them to do? Well, I've played a video of Sheldon Adelson, who's passed away. Rest in peace. God bless him and his family. It's all love. I don't look down on you just because you have a lot of money and you're a donor. In some cases, you could even say, like, it helps to some extent to fight the left. There's elements of that, absolutely. So rest in peace and God bless. With that being said, Sheldon Adelson's the biggest donor in recent history. Hundreds of millions of dollars, to the point where Trump gave his wife a presidential medal. No offense, I don't think she would have got it if they didn't give any money. But what did Sheldon Adelson want with his money? I don't know everything he wanted with the money that he paid Trump and Republicans, but I do know he's on camera saying, I served in the American military. Unfortunately, he said, I unfortunately served in the U.S. Army or the military. He said, my kids are going to serve Israel. My son's going to serve Israel. I hope he's a sniper. And, he's basically saying he's more loyal to Israel than America. He's like, unfortunately, I served America. Don't worry, my kids will serve Israel. But now there's speech laws being passed by Trump and DeSantis. The jump, you say how high, guys, for the money, will pass a speech law that they probably didn't even read that includes you're not allowed to say anybody Jewish has more loyalty to Israel when the donor who gave you the money is on camera saying he does. And then he passes a law to quash criticism of himself. That's what's happening. When people get blacklisted from TPUSA and all these other organizations, it's one of two things. There's big donor money coming in and the big donors pull their strings and they dance for you like puppets. Or, the people who run the organization are afraid of losing that money or afraid of what that person's going to say or afraid of what Ben Shapiro is going to say or is afraid of, Prager. So they just fall in line and do what Tim Pool does and say, I don't know what groups are. I don't know. White people. I don't know what racial groups are. I believe race is important, but you wouldn't the black vote, but I don't know what racial groups are. Yeah, they're afraid. Money is controlling these people. Fear is controlling these people. And in some cases, power is controlling these people. And guess what? They're selling your country out. They're selling your First Amendment out. I believe they sold us out to Big Pharma, and we're in on a lot of the lockdown stuff, including Operation Warp Speed. Not for your secret space laser, 5 years in the past to save us from the future, because they got paid off. They love that. Why do you think Trump never condemns the Q? He never condemns it. I wonder why. Because it's a bunch of people that literally think he's the return of Jesus, who could never do anything wrong and take donor money like everyone else when he's literally doing it. Why would he condemn a group that is brainwashed into thinking that he's like a superhero? What's the point? You think, is Biden going to condemn like a bunch of liberals who think he's like Jesus? Like, why would you? That's what's happening. I don't care who believes me. I'm not here for donor money. I'm not here to I don't want to be friends with a bunch of goblins that are willing to smear one of the most important people of our era. Not because he makes good rap music, not because he took his platform, which God gave him. I know a lot of these little goblins don't even believe in God. That's why they're like, oh, why does Kanye want to take away my porn? Why does he want, whatever. But in general, it's like God gave him, whether you want to believe it or not, life gave him, the universe gave him, whatever you want to call it, gave him the biggest platform on earth. He was like the most famous person. And I'm not saying that just to be like, oh, I love Kanye so much. He was one of the biggest rappers in the world, one of the biggest producers in the world, one of the biggest fashion designers in the world, one of the biggest sneaker people in the world, which is like, if you don't know sneaker culture, it's insane. It transcends basketball and rap. And then he was married to Kim Kardashian, who's like the most famous woman of our time. All of those at once, he's accumulating all of this social status, all of this energy, all of these eyes on him. And he says, I'm a Christian. I think pornography is bad and the country's being run by Zionists. And somebody had to say it. And I'm like, what? And then you got Tim Stool and Puke saying, oh, groups don't exist. It's the elites. I bet you won't say Zionists. It's an accurate term. It's like, oh, Trump and DeSantis are white guys. Oh, no, they're not. Oh, don't say white guy. What is a white guy? I don't even see color. Open your eyes. They're both kind of white. You can call them golden, or, Trump's a little orange. DeSantis looks like he could, tan a little as well. Call them what you want, but I'm not going to cry. Oh, they're both men. What's a man? What are two men? It's not all men. They're not all men. We're not all men. No, they're two men. Crime is done by a lot of men. Well, not me. Yeah, we know. Stop lying. You guys label all the time. You just don't want to use specific labels that will actually solve the problem. So you're gatekeeping. You're doing nothing. I want to live. I'm going to sound like Martin Luther King now. I had a dream that one day I wouldn't have speech laws to talk about homosexual. I want to be treated like everybody else. God loves all his children. I don't want to be able to joke about Asian men and they can handle it. But if I make fun of a gay joke, all of a sudden I must hate the whole community. I don't want to live in a country where there's a group of gay activists stopping you from criticizing the mutilation of little kids. And if you want to know my unpopular opinion while I'm here, I think that circumcision is actually male genital mutilation, and Christians and Americans have been deceived into mutilating men's genitals. So we could talk about that too, but maybe for a different time. That might be too heavy. With that being said, I don't want to live in a country where you can't say that people are working for another country when they're working for another country. When you can't use a label to further specify what's going on just to try to explain it. Try to live your day without labels and groups. You can't speak. It's like saying there's 10,000 genders. Like, okay, we can say there are, but when there was a shooter who was a non-binary or claimed they were a non-binary, all of a sudden there's a transgender activist on television saying, they didn't look like a non-binary. I don't think they were non-binary. What does it mean to look like a non-binary? Oh, the truth comes out when there's a right-wing, shooter that's a non-binary. Now all of a sudden there's a look to non-binary, but yesterday there's no look. You could be whatever you want. if you're transgendering from a man to a woman, isn't there something that's a woman? You got to be transitioning into something. If there's not set genders, then what the heck is it? You can't even be transgender because a trans stands for, I believe, transition into the other one. If there is nothing, but anyway, I don't want to live in a country where that's hate speech, what I just said, because it's not even hateful. But the Republican Party, and people wonder why, oh, you must really hate somebody. I don't hate somebody. I despise liars who are selling out my country. Republicans are selling the country out. DeSantis, Trump, TPUSA, PragerU. They're all supporting the Israeli speech laws. Kanye mentioned it, and Tim Pool and Luke, maybe they're uneducated about it, but I'm pretty sure they're just afraid of losing whatever it is that they gained. Someone said, I'm not black, I'm Jewish. I don't, honestly, if you said you were white and you were dark as the wall, I wouldn't even care. If I don't really, but the reason, here's another bombshell. In my perspective, this could be argued. There's multiple religions, Sikhs, Hindus, whatever, but in the Christian, Muslim, Jew, if you really think about it, a Christian is easier to be, I think, than a Muslim or Jew, because it's like Christians are very open, especially in the West. They're like, whatever, come to church, believe in Jesus, fully believe in him, give up your life to Jesus, and you could be a Christian. I butchered that, but you get what I'm saying. A Muslim, it's like a little different. It's like, we don't really care what ethnicity you are, but anybody could be a Muslim, but you're going to have to work a little bit harder. You're going to have to pray more and take things more seriously. Not everybody does it, but Muslims, they'll let anybody in. Can you just be a Jew? Do you think you could just walk up to a synagogue and be like, oh, I'm a Jew today? I mean, I'm not saying they're going to reject you, but there's a way deeper process to transition into a Jew, and very few people do it that aren't ethnically Jewish. Why? I'm not being rude. I'm not being hateful. I find it fascinating, actually. It's because the religion of Judaism mostly has to do with being an ethnic Jew. It's a religion based on a race. That's why there's a word that says goyim, which means non-Jew. So they get so mad when Kanye and Kyrie say they're a Jew, because it's a ideology based on, no, you're not. Get the hell away from me. It's a racist. I'm not saying everybody's racist. I'm just saying, as much as they claim everybody else, Christians aren't. I'm not saying you can't be racist if you're a Christian, but Christians want Jews to be Christians. Muslims want everybody to be Muslim. Muslims want Jews to be Muslim. I don't think many Jews want everyone else to be Jews. In fact, they get really pissed off when Kyrie or Kanye says they were a Jew. Imagine if Kyrie says, I'm a Jew, or I'm a Christian, hey, welcome. Well, they're not they're like, we're going to ruin your life, bro. Why not say, hey, you're wrong about where you're coming, but come to the synagogue. You could come be a Jew. You're not doing it right. That, documentary was despicable, but come on over to the synagogue and be a Jew. They try to ruin the guy's life and let him know through financial persecution, you're not a Jew because you're not ethnically Jewish. That's the big secret, guys. It's a religion based on race. And a lot of people, not all people, but there's a lot of people, just like there are in other groups, that are dicks about it. You could say there's white supremacists, right? There's white people who are dicks. There's white people who think they're better than everybody else just because of the color of their skin, and they don't actually perform as a good white person, and they're dicks. There's also Jewish people like that. But do you hear the word Jewish supremacy ever? Of course not, because we don't live in a free country, and we don't live in a fair country. I don't know if I want to play the clip. Maybe I should, but I should play the clip. I just don't want my screen to freeze. That's the only problem. Every time I hit the video button, I nearly freeze my screen. I don't know what the deal is, but I have a video loaded of the BLM guy, and I don't show this to be mean or rude. Sorry about this. It might take a second. I don't do this to be a jerk or to be mean or rude. I do this to show people that there is ideology baked in to certain people's beliefs. I'm back. Sorry about that. You know, I'm going to say this and then play the clip real quick. Tim Pool says that white people are BLM. Like, he's trying to act like black people also aren't in BLM, which is just stupid. It's like, yes, there's a lot of white people in BLM, right? There's a lot of black people in BLM, and the owners are black and the founders are black, basically. But, you know, it doesn't mean everybody's black. There definitely are a lot of white people in BLM. Do you notice what I'm doing, though? I'm accurately explaining it. And Tim Pool just says, it's white people. It's white people. He feels so emboldened to just use white people broadly because he knows it's an easy thing to do, and then has the nerve to tell other people that they can't do it. And a black man, but he could tell a black man that I'm not even going to use the word racist because I think that word makes no sense and it's overused. But I mean, what like a douchey like white boy like liberal beta gremlin thing to like talk to Kanye West and be like, you're good for the black vote. Like, that's the nerdiest, corniest. I'm not going to call him racist because that's an overplayed word. But that's like the corniest thing you could do. You're sitting with Kanye and you're going to tell him he's good for the black vote, and you have the nerve to call everybody else racist. Like, that's like the lowest hanging fruit. Like, Kanye's an epic person. You know, he's done a lot of cool things and he's running for president. I'm not saying you have to believe in his campaign, but like, that's what you said to him behind closed doors. Like, oh, you'd be good for the black race. Like, like, oh, but I'm not a race. Yeah, of course you're not. So race matters, but it doesn't. The reason I wanted to play this real quick is this is the, I've played this before, but I have a larger audience. This is Eric Mann. Eric Mann is part of the Weather Underground. The Weather Underground was a terrorist organization. Susan Rosenberg, who happened to be an individual, I think that's the new word. I'm going to start this trend. It's individual. Anytime you want to talk about the group that no one wants you to talk about, just say they're an individual. This is just happened to be an individual. She went to prison and Bill Clinton pardoned her, gave her some sort of like bailout of jail because I believe she bombed the Capitol or something. It was some sort of individual terrorist group and they bombed the Capitol. Eric Mann was a part of it, right? He ended up getting away from it at a certain point, and he was influential in Patrisse Cullors' life. I've watched many videos of them speaking on the same stage, her holding up his book. If you've ever seen the video where she holds up the book and says, it's like Mao's little red book. And all the conservatives were like, oh my gosh, you know, Black Lives Matter is, you know, pushing Mao Zedong, like saying, which is crazy. It's not wrong to get upset at that. But anyway, I started doing research in what the book was. The book she was holding up was a book from Eric Mann. How does Eric Mann think, and who was he inspired by? Here's the video of Eric Mann.
How did you get started?
Well, I come out of a Jewish socialist, somewhat anti-communist tradition. Not me, but that's what I come out of. Very strong anti-fascist. It's a joke, but I say that the fascist bastards were the first words that came out of my mouth because that's all I kept hearing about fascists and Jews and genocide. And I'm very proud of my parents for not, at 5 years old, I was thinking about people starving in Europe. Yeah. I didn't know what Europe was. And there's a world made up of Goyim who attack us and put us in concentration camps, and we got to fight them. That was the main point. My mom said, stand up to those anti-Semites. Don't let them push us around. So then when I met the black movement, I said, oh, I thought Jews were assertive. Wait till I saw this is the ultimate assertion, the ultimate anger, and...
So he was the one who organized the founders of BLM, and he explained where his ideology comes from. It's not everybody's fault. It's like if a Christian grows up to be radical because their parents raise them or white or whatever, it doesn't mean every white or Christian person's doing it. It just means that's how they did it and it's worth talking about, right? His inspiration comes from his mom telling him that Goyim, which are non-Jews, are anti-Semites and they're all fighting you, so you got to go fight them. And then he saw black people and thought that they were like more assertive than Jews, so he was going to use them for his agenda. That's the truth about BLM. I'm not saying it matters to the biggest extent, but why is Tim Pool okay with saying white people, white people, white people without explaining? He would never do that to Jewish people, and he would never get more accurate with where they come from. That's fine, but all I'm asking is if you're not that good at your job and you're not that honest and you're like a little goblin who just reads headlines, the least you could do is not say Kanye's on drugs and, you know, he like, oh my gosh, like this anti-Semitic, like stop the BS, bro. Just stop it. I'm going to hit the chats again real quick. Hopefully it doesn't freeze, but yeah, I mean, this is real history and there we go. I'm going to read some comments. Let me see. Someone said it's a derogatory term. That's for people to decide. Here's what I'm going to say. This is my unpopular opinion. I don't even know if you're allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care if black or Jewish people or anyone, I don't care if they have pride. I'm not going to call you a racist or a supremacist. Like, I don't care if you like your people more than other people. I think some of it is human nature. Today, I rooted for America versus Iran. We won. You know, I feel bad for what's going on in Iran, but I'm American and I like America. And a lot of black people feel that way, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. Oh, we don't know groups. We just know different. I mean, look at quote unquote Black America. There's tens of millions of black people who care about black people more than they care about other Americans. That's how they feel. You can't lie about it. That's just the truth. And it's human nature to some extent. And some extent, it's how they were raised or what they were taught. But that's happening. So if a black group does something, good or bad, you know, amazing or not, I have black friends in the industry, etc. I see their posts. They care about their people. I'm not mad at it. All I ask is if you're black and you do that, and you're Jewish and you do that, I don't care. Don't care how much money you have. Don't care how much you like yourself. Don't care if you like Israel more than America. Don't care if you like Jews more than Goyim. Don't care if you like black people more than white people. Don't care if you like who. I don't care what you do. It's not I'm not the judge of what you're doing. All I ask, and the only reason I even do this stuff or call out, you know, the goblins at the Beanie Gremlin Castle is the hypocrisy. If you're going to label groups based on race, don't pretend like others can't do it. If you're black and you like your race more, don't cry racism when someone white or Asian does it or Jewish does it. If you're Jewish and you know exactly what they're doing in the music industry and they have a religion based on a race and they are favoring their own and also, you know, operating under different moral standards than Muslims and Christians in a different book and different ideology to a certain extent, and some of them are just aimless and godless or whatever you want to say, you can analyze it. Don't have the double standards and hypocrisy. If you're in the conservative party and you think it's okay for a foreign country to have speech laws in our country, or for people in our country to pass speech laws that say I can't criticize that, but I can criticize that, I'm going to call you out. If you think it's okay for Ron DeSantis to pass an anti-Semitism school bill that provides religion, I'm going to call it out because it isn't for every religion. Christianity wasn't on there. Islam wasn't on there. Nothing was on there, just Judaism. But also it provided protection for non-religious Jews. So how is that a religious protection if it provides people? Because the religion's based on the race. So it's a little game. But you can't pass one bill for one group, but not for others. That doesn't stop hate or division. It creates more observation, which will lead to people demanding equal rights, which will lead to people getting upset, which will lead to either you do the right thing and we live in peace and harmony, or you keep doing the wrong thing and it won't work. The irony behind all this stuff is it doesn't work. The ADL doesn't help Jewish people. I follow a lot of great right-wing Jews who understand that. You know, this game that non-Jews are playing, like Tim Pool to gatekeep, you're not actually helping Jews, bro. It's not lowering tension in the country when you keep covering this stuff up, or when you point out that people are doing it. Sorry, but it's the same thing with crime in certain areas. You point out the statistics of what's going on, and a certain group will say, oh, I don't see it. Oh, you're racist. Well, it's happening. If other ethnic groups were doing that, if you go to an Asian community and you point out that Asians are responsible for 90% of the crime, I bet you Asians crack down on their kids, and next thing you know, it's not going to be 90% anymore. But certain groups don't want to take the accountability. That's why it keeps happening. You know, we can ignore it and say that it's all racist and anti-Semitic, but at the end of the day, it's a cover up. You know, if you are going to say these people are doing this and it includes my group, I should be able to acknowledge it. I could say, yeah, it's not me, but I can't cry about you identifying my group with that if they're in my group technically. Like, what is a group? What am I? I mean, you could call me white. I call myself golden because I just think it's funny. Like, the concept of race, like, oh, you're white, you're German, you're white, you're Italian, you're white. Everybody's the same. In my opinion, the whole narrative of like white has been co-opted anyway, where it's like, I don't think every European country is exactly the same, but at the same time, I guess it's just like easier. Like, I don't know, you're white, you know, like it's the same with black. What does it mean to be black in America? Well, unfortunately, because of mostly left-wing media and other stuff, it means you got to act this way and feel this way. And if you don't, they say you're not black. The second you stop acting like what the media want you to act like, they say you're not black, you're acting white. So what does it mean to be black? There's black people that might be Native Americans, but they don't know that they're Native Americans because they're always told they're from Africa. They're always told that, you are a victim and this happened to you. Did any black families have epic ancestors that just crushed it? Of course they did. There were black Americans that were in the Republican Party in the 1800s. So, there are families that crushed it. There are like everybody's from the same part of Africa. No, it's just easier to say black. It's like you're black, you're white. And so I'm not even like attached to these terms. I don't get offended when someone says white people, like when LeBron James, for example, LeBron James said white owners in the NFL are slave masters. This was like a comment he made. White owners are slave masters, NFL owners. I actually semi agree with that. I mean, high level slave masters, because everybody's making a lot of money. Like Kanye says that, but then he didn't want to use the word. But in general, it's like, I think these are well-paid athletes, etc., but they're not really free. If you're the best basketball player in the world, let me just go to the NBA because I understand it a little better. If you're the best basketball player in the world and you want to make the top money, you have to go to the NBA. Yeah, I guess you could go to China, but you're not going to be free there either. But in general, it's like NBA pretty much has a monopoly on the best basketball in the world. If you're the best player, you want to go to the NBA. If you can't cut it in the NBA, you go somewhere else. Or you're at the end of your career, go make your money in a foreign country. That being said, they have a monopoly on the greatest basketball if you're a basketball player. Once you get into the NBA, you're not free. You can't talk about a certain racial group. You can't share an Amazon link. You can't criticize the referee. You can't say something liberals disagree with. You can't criticize LGBT or they fine you and they steal your money. You're not free. If you have a net worth of $10 million and you criticize the L's, the G's, the B's, and the T's and they kick you out of the league, you're not a free man. So although LeBron is not my ally, we don't agree on a lot of stuff. Even though I'm white, I don't care that he called white people slave owners because I'm not an owner of a sports team. So why would I get offended when he said white people? I know what he's talking about. Even if he uses it broadly and it's like, oh, white owners are slave masters, white people, I get it. And I actually semi-agree with him not because of why he says it, but I do think in this country, it's like, yeah, you can go in here, but you can't speak your mind. So I'm more concerned as somebody who wants NFL and NBA players to be able to speak their minds. I'm more interested in getting it right than condemning speech. Like, even if I disagree with it, I'm not going to be like, oh my God. It's like, it is what it is. When LeBron says something about white people, right? Instead of calling him a racist, I just point out the hypocrisy. I don't have to say, oh, you hate me. I say, I'm going to ask him a question. If you really feel that way about white people or whatever, I've seen some, I'm not going to like overstate it. I don't care. But like, he's like, oh, if you really feel that way, Black Lives Matter, white people, you don't really trust them or whatever you think. Why do you live in a black community? Maybe, but probably not. He probably lives in like an all white and Jewish community. So I'm not saying you have, but you're all about your people and helping them, but you don't want to live around them for like, why? Like I would respect you more if you did. So, same with like Colin Kaepernick. It's like, you can question him about his corporate ties and what they're doing in foreign countries like that. That's a better way, in my opinion, than just calling someone a racist. Oh, you hate me. Maybe he doesn't hate me. Maybe he's just miseducated. Maybe he just likes his own people. I don't know. I don't care about that. If black people want to feel that way and let's just be honest about it. I know it's not all people, by the way, but there's millions of people who feel that way and they're black and they like their own people. That's fine, but let's be open and honest about it so we can figure out what the best solution is moving forward. If you really feel that way, then let's try to figure out in America and a world that makes everybody, feel better and feel more comfortable. And when white people or conservatives say the same thing about illegal immigration or whatever, you can't cry racism. That's all I ask. You do that, but stop crying racism. If you have the right to live there, how come other people don't have the right? We don't even have the right to secure our border in this country. Like, that's the big threat. Like, that's like low level conversation. If you can't even get to that, I don't know what you're doing. it's like the childhood stuff. You know, someone asked me with the Balenciaga. I will try to cover it later this week. I apologize. With the Balenciaga stuff, somebody asked me, like, do you think they could be doing stuff? And it's like, well, let's put it this way. If you surround yourself by a bunch of left-wingers who won't push back and everything's fine and everything falls under the LGBT umbrella, no matter how bad it is, of course I think they're doing something. I'm not saying that company specifically or like what, but like if you're so delusional and so twisted that you think it's okay for a 5-year-old to transition their gender before they even know what gender is, I would assume you're doing something else wrong because that's really messed up. And if you don't get that, what else don't you get? Because that's pretty simple. It's like 1 + 1 is 2. No, it's 5. You don't even know 1 + 1 is 2. Something wrong with you. If you said to me, hey, I think consenting women at 30, 21 years old or 18 years old should be able to get married. I don't have to agree with it, but I could be like, I get what you're saying. I get why you'd want that. But if you can't figure out that a 6-year-old shouldn't do that, it's way beyond logical, conversations around sexual stuff. It's really messed up. So I just assume, unfortunately, that people are doing something wrong because it's so simple. There's certain things that are really easy. It's not a complex issue. Should we tax 30% or 25%? It's really simple. And if you don't understand that, I have to question what else you don't understand. And to wrap this up, I might read a few comments before I leave. I used to think in 2019 that people didn't know about the speech laws. I thought that people didn't understand about the double standards and about the fact that Republicans were selling our country out. I thought that. Now I realize, because it's been 3 years, there's been a lot more time to learn about it, talk about it. There's been a lot of discussion. I'm blessed that, and this is something that I believe true power comes from God and the truth. I mean, you don't have to agree with this. This is just my theory. You could have $5 billion, but if you're constantly lying and deceiving and hurting people, eventually you're going to be uncomfortable because it's just an uncomfortable way to live. The truth and God and just being, it's a different type of power. It's not just like, oh, I achieved it through. No, it's real. It's like a billionaire can't buy the social effect that Kanye has. It's something bigger than money. They can't buy his reach. $1 trillion couldn't buy his reach, and they hate that. But in general, because of what I say, people from every organization, every company on the right, etc., reach out to me and say, I think you got the best analysis on Kanye West. Anomaly, I'm a Jewish woman. Thank you for saying that. Nobody's saying that. Thank you. People can try to cover up what I'm saying. They've tried for years. It's not going to work because it's true. When Kanye said to Lex, it's true though, Lex didn't say it's not true. Lex didn't say, oh, that's not true. He said, grouping things is hateful. He didn't say it wasn't true. He just said grouping things is hateful. Grouping things is hateful? You group things like that's groups are hateful? Shut up, bro. But in general, I know people think they're going to win by just covering this stuff up. Guys, the cat is out of the bag. You can try, but you're not going to be able to cover up the truth forever. It's not going to work. So if you really want to help people in this country, we need to face the issue. It's like homelessness. Oh, it's going to get better if we just leave it alone. Homelessness is out of control in LA. So they just act like it's not happening. Does that make them good? No, if you really want to help people, you got to clean up that dirty, disgusting city. What's dirtier? That city or Tim's dirty beanie baby? I'm just kidding. But, it's like, so when it comes to anti-Semitism, speech laws, infringement on the First Amendment, Hollywood, what's going on, the ideology behind it, who's doing it, why they're doing it, how to correct it, how to be peaceful and nice about it, but address it. These are conversations we're going to have, but if you ignore this, this is what I'm seeing, is it's not going away. So if you let the crime get worse in New York City every year or every year in LA, it's not just going to get better because you want it to, because you said a nice word. You got to get down and dirty and figure out what's going on. Being politically correct is not going to change the South Side of Chicago. Being politically correct is not going to make the cities more like the crime lower. Being politically correct is not going to make the crime go down in New Orleans. And if you really care about Jewish people in this country, being politically correct isn't going to solve it, because I'm not going to say most, but millions of Jewish people live in the big cities, and the big cities aren't safe. And the reason they're not safe has nothing to do with them being Jewish. It just has to do with bad leadership. And when bad leadership happens, there's demons in the street and evil people that don't care who they kill or who they rob. They don't care if they rob a black man. They don't care if they rob a Jewish woman, and they don't care if they rob a white guy. You know, some of these criminals, not all of them, but some of them don't give a crap. They have no loyalty to their own. Look at some of the things going on in this country. It's just evil. We can't just ignore it and say it's not. So when it comes to this issue, the best way to fight the hate and to fight anti-Semitism is really the way Jon Stewart said. I don't like everything he says, but honestly, he's got some good takes on a lot of issues, and that's more than most people in Hollywood. So I guess I appreciate Jon Stewart for the moment until he does something else sneaky, but we appreciate you, John. When he said, I don't think this is the right thing to do. I mean, his video was great. I couldn't believe he said that. He said, these people think Jewish people run banks, and putting them in timeout isn't going to convince them that otherwise. You know, like, that's not the solution. The solution is connecting, talking. And if you say, don't say that, it just makes more people think that. In the last 2 months, everybody knows now. Even conservatives that didn't want to hear it, they know. They know what's going on. They think it's weird. They think it's a little odd, and they're looking more into it. The way to quash the hate and to stop the division is to address what's going on head first. If you don't want people to look at Israel more than other countries, then Israel needs to stop taking so much money from our country. If you don't want people to look at Zelensky, why do you look at Zelensky more than other leaders? Is it because he's Jewish? No, it's because he's sucking the most money out of America that I've ever seen in my life, besides maybe the Bush era and the Iraq War. You know, if you want the division to stop among the races in America, you need to stop being so divisive. You know, all the television networks are divisive. All of the activist groups are divisive. The Republicans pass speech laws for only one group, and then if you talk about it, they say you're the bad person. When you notice it and get upset, they say that you're just aimlessly upset. They're causing the division. The Zionist Republicans who pass speech laws are causing the division. The ADL is causing the division. The liberals who racially segregate everything and hate on a certain group and say that they're not doing it, they're dividing everything. In a way, but then if they were doing that, at least just be honest about it. Then we could have a real conversation about it. But they're not even honest about it. Like, if you're like, I just want to do this, like, whatever. I don't want to be where you are, so I don't care. But, like, be honest about it. It's not going to work in this country for much longer. I mean, it's already not working, but I love this country. I think this is a great country, and most people are inherently good. You know, most people don't, like, they're pumped to be here, and, you know, they just want to grind and make it happen. But we have to talk about this stuff. I'm trying to destroy the fake narrative that you can't talk about groups and only individuals, because it literally makes zero sense, and it's only making people hate more. I'm not excusing their hate, because I don't believe you should be hateful. I don't believe you should get angry, because getting angry is not what God wants you to do, in my opinion. I don't think he wants you to get all pissed. Enjoy your life. Nobody's stopping you. Make it happen. If you work hard and are righteous, you'll make it happen. No one's going to stop you, of any political party, of any group. You can do it. So I'm not justifying it, but just analyzing it. It's like, if you don't address this, more people are going to care about it. That's the truth. It's like with a lockdown. I don't want anybody to do anything bad when you lock down, like, obviously. But if you lock people in their house for 2 months, bad things are going to happen. It's not just I'm not justifying the bad things happening. It's just the truth. Like, suicides went up, child abuse went up, domestic abuse went up, overdoses went up, alcohol use went up, obesity went up. I don't want that to happen, but that's just what happens when you lock people inside all the time. But then I point that out, and they're like, oh, are you excusing it? No, I'm just saying that's what happens. It's like a mass experiment scale, and you experimented with a lockdown. It's the same thing with ignoring these speech laws. You can't do stuff to the First Amendment and then pass a law to say, I can't say that it's happening. that's not going to raise awareness and love for a community if you're cutting out, half the country's tongue of saying it happening, shutting down speakers on a college campus. I'm not really, unfortunately, well versed on the Israel Palestine stuff. I'm not even just saying this. I sent a video to my friend the other day and I was like, is this video real? Because I almost wanted to share it, but I was like, if I can't verify that it's real, I don't even want to share it because easily both sides can like skew media perception. So I didn't even know if it was true, but I'm like, if that's true, that's messed up. But anyway, when it comes to the Israel Palestine stuff, I don't want Ben Shapiro shut down on a college campus. And I don't think Abby Martin should be shut down on a college campus. I don't really, no offense, I don't like either of them. I don't hate them. Abby Martin's not really my cup of tea. She's a little too progressive for my style, but I think she should be allowed to talk about Palestine on a college campus, and Ben Shapiro should be allowed to talk about Israel on a college campus. And through listening to both of them, or if they debate, I could probably figure out what's going on if I study both sides enough. Is that really a controversial take now? I guess that's the edginess in the right wing now. If you actually believe in the First Amendment, you're an outcast. And I'm letting people know, I'm praying. I don't have the most influence. And I think people are seeing now why they don't let me on these big shows. And I have only, certain people that know that I'm telling the truth that are good people. But in general, I pray that the conservative movement in America wakes up, because once people wake up, that's when it changes. But if you keep buying into this fake Republican thing, and I'm not saying you don't vote, I'm just saying it's clear Tim and Luke are not trying to have that conversation. I mean, it sucks Kanye walked out because honestly, he could have just sat there and let Milo handle it or something, that or Nick. I think Nick and Milo could have torched them. It's unfortunate it ended that way, but he didn't want to chill. With that being said, people need to figure this stuff out, and it'll end pretty quickly. Someone said, keep the stream going. Yeah, I just want to read some. I want to read some comments. Someone said the money changers were always whacked out people. I don't know. The money changers. They weren't letting them talk. Well, yeah, it's hard when you're in a room. This is another thing when you're in a room with like 8 people on a podcast. Some people like that, right? Like, I guess, let's be honest, Tim gets a lot of views. Something's working for Tim, so he doesn't really have to change his format because it's working well for him. So as a business, like, why change it? But me personally, I've been to event, like I went to Candace's thing, and Candace is a friend. I like her. It was with Jack Pasabic, Ali, Becky Stuckey, and me on a panel. It was like a short panel, and Jack and Ali talked way more than me. It's not a big deal because when you're with like 8 people or 4 people or 6 people, if you're not the Alex Jones type to just interrupt all the time, you're not really going to get a word in. So I think, to be honest, I think Nick is respectful and he understands he's in the room with Kanye West. So, he's not trying to talk that much because he's trying to let Ye tell a story. Milo is clearly the personality that will get a few words in. Milo loves to talk. And, Tim loves to interrupt and talk as well. And it's his show, so he can do whatever he wants pretty much. So I think that's kind of the dynamic. When you have 8 people, I'm the type that I don't like to interrupt. I don't like to cut people off. I like to talk, but if I'm with Jack and Jack Pasabic wants to talk his head off and, Ali wants to talk, I'm not like in the topics, like, the topics were like news stories that it was cool, but I was like, I'm not going to interrupt. Like, I'll wait for my turn and speak, I think that's what Nick was doing personally. But it's fine. I mean, there's different things. There's podcasts, there's this, but me personally, I'm not and Fox, what is it? 5, Fox 4, they have a pretty big show with like Greg Gutfeld and stuff, but I'm not into like 8 people in a room because then it's like the loudest, most annoying. I'm not saying these people are annoying, but like, the people that like to talk will talk, and the more respectful people will usually talk the least, So, I mean, Ye is Ye though. So it's like, yeah, I don't think Nick was trying to interrupt him very much or like jump in front of him. It's like, let the guy talk. He talks kind of slow and like calm, so let him talk. Someone said the gatekeepers run deep in the conservative party. That's absolutely true, unfortunately. And there's a lot of, let's just say there's a lot of like behind the scenes pressure. I mean, it's not even behind the scenes anymore. It's out in the open. Just go on your Twitter and see who's condemning stuff as hate speech and who's not. Someone said, are you and Hotep Jesus cool? I mean, it's whatever. You know, we were cooler before he tried to like do his little gotcha moment thing to me. And then he tried to like do a backstab thing when I did another debate and have them on and talk. So, I mean, he's whatever. Honestly, like I don't hold a grudge. I don't dislike him, but like in my personal opinion, I think he's smart and I think he does good business, but I think he's one of those people who like thinks he's smarter than he is. So, you know, it is what it is. Cowboy Bear said just on sub from We Are Change and was going to sub on his own site and a lot of his shirts. I don't have Patreon since the lawsuit. How can I support you regularly? Can you talk to Vox? I talked to Owen, but I don't know Vox very well. I mean, I've been on Owen's stream a month ago, but you could support, you can get a beanie or something. You don't have to. I mean, here's what you can do. Sign up to my free email list, or I have stuff in the comment section, but if you want to do like a subscription, I don't know. I have Twitter, Facebook. I have all the stuff. So, but you don't have to. I mean, I don't, you know, just sign up to my free email list. It's free. Someone said, I think I figured it out. Pim, Tool, Simps hard over Rogan. Lex is Rogan's friend. So Tim tried to do exactly what Lex did to show he could be Lex. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to overstate it, but you know, I think in general that I really want to have this conversation, but I despise when people are like, oh, he's on drugs. That's the low. Like when I saw that, I was like, what a low life, you know? Like Kanye's not crazy. He's not like drugged out. If you listen to him in a conversation with somebody who's not like a total scum, he did this church conversation. He was in the valley. He just pulled up to some random church. There were barely anybody there. Someone had a phone out and they asked him tough questions, but also they started asking him stuff. He's a nice guy. He's very nice. He's very calm. Even in that interview, he didn't scream. Tim it yells a lot, but like Kanye doesn't yell. He just walked out and they even admitted when they went downstairs, he wasn't mad. It's not like he stormed off. He's just like, I'm not, you know, like these people's energy is not for me. I don't really like these people. Like he wasn't mad. He's not a mean guy in interviews. It's just like, if you know, you get what you put out. So if you let him talk and just like, here's the thing I could say too, from like being in a few debates, I've debated people that I don't even want to talk to. Like this very rarely happens because I do like to debate, but honestly, there's some people that are just like so low energy and so annoying. For example, I had a debate with some guy, Nico or something, some progressive that I thought I would get along with. Because honestly, even though progressives disagree with a lot of my ideology, I'm a very honest person and a lot of conservatives aren't. So they're usually shocked by how honest I'll be about topics most Republicans won't touch on. But this Nico guy, I kept trying to talk. He kept interviewing me. He kept interrupting me for like 10 minutes. And then I yelled and I'm like, stop, dude. And I'm like, what are you, you know, it was like being with a child. And after that, I'm like, this guy's undebatable because he just interrupts me like a child. You know, other ones where it's like, I don't mind debating certain people, but there's certain people that'll take like a low blow and it changes the whole energy. You know what I'm saying? I would say I'm a sensitive person. I'm not afraid of stuff, and you know, I'm willing to have a debate, but I'm very energetic. You know what I'm saying? Like when I write music, like I'm in the zone. I like to dance. I like to listen to music. I like to do karaoke. I perform on stage, you know, in front of that. I'm not saying it, but I'm in the moment. Like I like to flow. If I like you, I'm gonna connect. If you ever meet me, I'm not gonna treat you like you're a piece of garbage. I'm gonna meet you where you meet me. If I meet someone on the street, regardless of who they are, just someone that's a fan of mine or whatever, and you're chill, you're going to get a great version of me. If you're weird and, you know, you're going to get me being like that. So I'm very sensitive to energy, but I'm a very chill person. I've been in debates with people I thought would be cool, like Styx was that type of person. The first thing he does is take this subtle jab, and now the energy's weird. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm going to run away, but the energy's gone. You know what I'm saying? That connection. It's like dancing with someone and then she like punches you in the arm. You're not going to feel the same way you felt about it a minute ago. Doesn't mean you have to leave, but you know, I do feel like there is that element to it. And I've been in debates where I'm like, yeah, I don't even want to be here. Young Pharaoh was somebody that was like that too. I'm going to be on, by the way, guys, I'm pulling a 3 stream today. I'm going to be on Quite Frankly with, I guess, Quite Frankly, I don't know what his other name is. I'm going to be on that show in like 30 minutes. So I got to go soon. But, yeah, I forget what I was going to say. What was I saying before that? Someone said, why attack him? He didn't walk out. I'm not attacking him, but I just think he's lying. I'm breaking down. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll give you an example real quick. I debated Young Pharaoh. We were getting along because I don't really care about what he says, but he started being like, white people, I need my sandals. And it just got kind of funny. We had a debate, whatever. But afterwards, he started getting kind of aggressive. And like, you know, in hindsight, I'm glad I did it. I think it's posted somewhere. It got kind of hostile, unfortunately, because of him. He basically wanted me to like bow down. And I was like, nah. But anyway, like in hindsight, it's like, I don't want to do that again. Not because I don't want to debate him, but it just got weird and like toxic where, you know, with Tim, I'm not going to make excuses because Kanye could have stayed if he wanted to. He doesn't have to. He doesn't need Tim. Tim doesn't need him. But at the end of the day, Kanye, he warned them multiple times that he would leave. And here's the thing. If Tim was making sense, I would back Tim. I'd be like, dude, Tim made perfect sense and Kanye is being a snowflake. But Kanye made sense. He said, how are you going to say I can't group people together when you grouped me together? And Tim had no. So I think in Kanye's head, he's like, am I going to sit here for 3 hours and have the same conversation? Kanye's trying to explain what happened and they're going to interrupt every second and say, what's a group? What's a group? What's a group? So he probably thought it in his head and he's like, I'm not doing a 2-hour conversation because I see where this is going. I've already done this before. So, you know, I think he said it 3 times. He said, he warned them twice. He said, you know, they said, what about individuals? What about individuals? You shouldn't name groups. You shouldn't name groups. You shouldn't name groups. It's just a coincidence. You know, that's just like Dave Chappelle said. If it's Italian, it's a mob. If it's black people, it's a gang. If it's an individual, you know, it's just a coincidence and you should never talk about it. So they were playing that game. He explained himself. They played that game. He literally gave him the knockout punch and said, you use grouped on me. And Tim's like, yeah, well, I use groups on you, but that's fine when I'm talking about votes, but it's not fine when you're talking about that. So I think Kanye just understood they're not going to let me talk. They're going to play this game the whole time. I'm not trying to play games. I'm out, you know, I'd rather be on my jet talking to Milo and Nick than hang out with these guys. Like, you know, and I've always said that about Tim in general. I'm going to be honest. He's a good businessman. He's a good YouTuber. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to make money. He knows how to pick headlines. He knows how to make thumbnails. He knows how to run a business. He knows how to book guests, except for not me. I mean, he screwed me over, but that's fine. He apologized. He knows what he's doing business-wise. As far as energy-wise, this is just my personal opinion beforehand anyway. I've never liked his energy ever because he's never telling people, take accountability for your life, work out, build a. It's always like, you know, build a civil war, rah, 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 rah. Like his energy sucks. So honestly, I could see sitting in a room with him and Luke and being like, yeah, I don't like them. I don't want to sit here with them for 2 hours. Like, yeah, I want the views. I want, you know what I'm saying? I want to get like 10,000 new subscribers because I'm on Tim. But do I really want to sit with these like low energy, like I've never liked him. And I'm not, there's a lot of people I like, not him. You know what I'm saying? Same with Ben. I don't like the way he like acts. I just don't like his energy. But like Tim, it's just like I don't even see the appeal. I guess it's just like he's built the business. Some people I see the appeal. I'm like Ben Shapiro. I don't like him, but I see the appeal. You know, Tim. I think it's his work ethic. You know, because like even like Dave Portnoy, he's mad at me or something. Whatever. I get it. He's funny. Candace, I get it. Charlie Kirk, I get it. A little bit, you know, not completely, but a little bit. With Tim, it's like I never understood why people want to listen to him, but it is what it is, just because of the energy of it. So that's the reason I was bringing it up. So I think being in a room with somebody trying to frame you as an anti-Semite, say you shouldn't talk about it, say you shouldn't name the name, say you're shocked that he even brought it up in the first. Oh, I didn't think you'd bring it up this early, bro. You brought it up. You brought it up with the article. You know, I think Kanye's just like, yo, these guys are low energy. They're twerpy. You know what I'm saying? They're little goblins. They're lying. They're using groups, but I can't use groups. Like, deuces. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to go on my jet. Kind of gangster. Someone said you're jealous of people with big audiences like Luke. I believe in the First Amendment, and anybody that says that you can't talk about groups when they talk about groups is a gatekeeper. Anybody that says this group just doesn't exist and there's no possible way they could have some sort of racial or ethnic, agenda going on, they're a liar. I guarantee you that they've both criticized the Catholic Church before, and I guarantee you they've both said something about Islam, but they can't say anything about Judaism because they're afraid. They're frauds. I don't want what they have. First of all, no offense, I'm bigger than Luke is anyway. Go to my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, everything. My engagement's better on everything. Luke's not even bigger than me. It doesn't matter, but like, I'm so jealous. I want to be smaller than I am. With Tim, his podcast is cool, but it's like, I don't care. I would hope he had $10 million and the biggest podcast in the world if he would just let people know the truth instead of covering it up on the biggest topic, or let Kanye explain himself without saying he can't group people together when he does the same thing. That's my problem. If they stop doing that, I'll stop doing this. Have you ever heard me talk bad about Candace? It's not just because I'm friends with her. She never lied during the pandemic. She goes harder at vaccines than I do. That's just a fact. She takes her platform and goes harder against vaccines than even I do. She never condemned Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Candace flipped on a dime and was like, oh, Kanye's an anti-Semite and, everybody, black people should get the vaccine. And like, like, I would be like, damn, she really switched up. But that's what Ben did, with this topic. It's not coming from jealousy. It's just like, no one's going to know the truth because all of the big networks won't say it. Are you jealous of CNN? Oh, you're jealous of Chris Cuomo. Oh, you're just jealous of Don Lemon. You're jealous of Don Lemon and his white husband. You see him frolicking on the beach, Don Lemon and Donna Lemon, or whatever his name is, Daniel Lemon and Don. I don't know. It's like they're running on the beach. Yay! White people are racist, but no, I'm just kidding. But they're running on the beach together, and you look at Don Lemon and his husband and say, I'm jealous. I'm so jealous of their attention. That's why you criticize CNN and Biden. I bet you're jealous of Biden, right? You're just so jealous of Biden. You wish, no, you criticize Biden because he's a garbage president who shares none of your values. The reason I talk about conservative media is because they're gatekeeping a big lie that's destroying the Constitution. I feel like I'm becoming a broken record, but there's a reason that Republicans won and we ended up in a lockdown with vaccines and $6 trillion money printed. It's not just because of Mitch McConnell, and it's not just because of Nancy Pelosi. It's because even the people in the Republican Party that you think are like libertarian freedom fighters are selling out to donors. I'm trying to explain how stuff works. You don't have to believe me. Some people are controlled by money. Some people are controlled by fear. I understand that money pays the bills and everybody's afraid of something, but at the end of the day, you can't give up the First Amendment. I'm not going to say, well, I like Jordan Peterson, but when he doesn't understand the Second Amendment, that's cool. It's not really cool. Welcome to America, bucko. Learn the Second Amendment. Sorry. I wish I could turn it off and just pretend like I don't see it so I could be like everybody else, and then I'd have more friends. Come to America, learn the culture. Come to America, learn the First Amendment. Learn the Second Amendment. Don't come to America and blaspheme the Second Amendment, and then everybody tells me I'm just jealous because I tell you to actually respect our Second Amendment. That's big jealousy. I really want to be Jordan Peterson. No, I like him. I want to like him. I want to like Tim Pool. I want to like Luke. But you're not going to sit here and talk to a way more righteous, way more honest man and say that he's like drugged out and mentally ill. That's evil. I don't want to address this topic, so they must be drugged out. They must be all on drugs and mentally ill. Someone said Milo's using Kanye. Probably, he probably is. to some extent, you know? Kanye has a lot to give. So if anybody's hanging out with Kanye, it's a huge, you know, I feel like they're all using each other, you know, I guess authentically or inauthentically, but like Kanye's hanging out with Milo because he wants to use Milo. Milo's hanging out with Kanye because he wants Kanye. I think Nick legitimately likes Kanye. I think he loves Kanye, and it's like he's having the time of his life, you know? What do you have to lose? Nick's been censored from everything and called a white nationalist, and now he's working for a black guy. I mean, you know, who's like the most famous person in the country. It's pretty funny. Like it's a wild situation. You know, I don't know what's going on, but I think they're all in some ways, you know, utilizing each other and using them. But hopefully it's everybody has good intentions. You know, that's all you could hope. I don't know. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy combo. It's pretty crazy the fact that they came together, but I think when you wake up, you know, I didn't put the clip of him saying that they were trying to Michael Jackson me. Like he said they were trying to kill me, and he said they're trying to Michael Jackson me, you know, with the drugs and stuff. Like he was trying to say they drugged Michael Jackson. But in general, Michael Jackson has stories, or Dick Gregory has stories of Michael Jackson, where Michael thought they were trying to kill him, and he was like on the run with Dick Gregory. You know, he was with Dick Gregory because he trusted Dick Gregory, because I think Dick Gregory is a very trustworthy guy. Rest in peace, Dick Gregory. But, you know, when the industry comes for you, you're like, it's not a small thing. It's like going, like, people don't care that much about me because I don't have that much money or power or anything. People think I don't want that. If you're like Iran or Iraq or Libya, you know, like now you're in trouble because you got something and somebody wants it. So when Michael Jackson's under fire from the industry, like it gets crazy, and he's on the run with Dick Gregory. So Kanye woke up and realized over time that, you know, his own wife didn't want to side with him over the liberals. All of the people handling him were like not on his side. So where do you turn? You know, if you just realize you're conservative, you realize that you're Christian, you realize that everybody around you doesn't believe in any of those things, and then eventually you realize that a lot of people that were doing it just so happen to be individuals, who do you run to when your whole world gets taken away? You can go to family. He hangs out with his father, loyal people that you've known forever. Then you run, I guess, to Candace, to Nick, to Milo. I don't know. I guess he's just like, these people are fake and these people are realer, and that's just where I'm going. But it's like, I'm not going to say Kanye is on the run, but he's like kind of on his Michael Jackson run right now. That's why I'm so annoyed with Luke and Tim. Because like Michael Jackson, say what you want, think what you want. You know, the industry in many ways was out to get him. And before, you know, he beat all his allegations when he was alive. So when he's dead, they make a documentary with this guy that isn't even that honest. But anyway, you can think what you want about that. You know, if you got Michael Jackson on the run and doing an interview, are you going to let Michael Jackson talk regardless of what you think of him when he's alive, when he's around, when he's on the run from the industry? Are you going to shut your mouth, Tim Pool, and puke, you degenerate, lying about him being all drugged up when he's literally the opposite? He used to talk about pornography being amazing, and he used to talk about like all sorts of degenerate stuff, and nobody said he was on drugs then. He wakes up, he becomes Christian, he starts telling the truth, and now he's on drugs. Shut up, Luke, you devil. But anyway, you know, you got modern day MJ on the run, and you're going to botch that interview and talk shit about him when he leaves. These people are demons. You know, and that's how Kanye really is right now. I'm not going to say he's on the run, but he's kind of on the run. They're taking all his money. They're taking all his businesses. If he would have never said the word Jewish, they never would have taken it all. Okay? I mean, he should have tweeted something better. There's the truth. He shouldn't have tweeted that, but if he didn't tweet that, this wouldn't have happened. And I think this, in a weird way, needed to happen. But anyway, he's on the run. They're stealing everything. They're trying to put him in jail. He doesn't know where to turn. He's hanging out with Nick and Milo. Let the guy talk for an hour, 2 hours. You just blew. Every interview with Kanye has like 10, 20 million views. Go watch the Lex Friedman podcast. It's epic. The Drink Champs podcast, legendary. His Piers Morgan interview, legendary. His Tucker interview, legendary. Tim's interview, it's okay. It was legendary for 10 minutes, and then they screwed it up. And guess what? People wanted to hear him talk more than them, but they just couldn't shut up for 2 seconds and then debate it. But whatever. Kanye on the run. You had a chance. And I think he'll be fine. I think he's protected. I'm not worried about him, but it's like, dude, people don't realize how tough it is when this stuff comes down. Even if you have a lot of money. If you have a lot of money, but your bank account closes, and now they're trying to take this money and this money and that money and put you in jail and freeze the money that you have, so now you can't even spend that money, they're trying to screw him over. And I guarantee you, if he was someone else, they wouldn't be doing that. Did they freeze the money of that guy who did that whole crypto scam? Who knows? But even for myself, like, I'm way less rich than Kanye. Way less rich. I mean, I'm nowhere near, I'm not even close. Like, Kanye's worst day would be the richest day of my life to this point in my life. With that being said, even though I'm financially stable, there's an easy way that if they wanted to, it's like they could freeze assets. They could, you know what I'm saying, take away monetization. I mean, they could, you know, all it takes is 3 levers and they take away all your stuff. And now all of a sudden you have no income. It's kind of like Kanye. They could easily turn 4 levers, even though he has $1 billion, 4 levers. And now that life of luxury just became a life of I'm on the run and I don't even have that much anymore. And they've taken everything and I'm like defaulting on stuff. So for me, the same thing. So I have sympathy for the guy. It's like they're trying to take all his stuff. I'm trying to hear what he has to say and then agree. I think he could do a better job of saying, like, not all, but it's like, it's just, I don't think he wants to play the politically correct game, which is fine. Sometimes as a news analyst, you got to say things a certain way, or I'm a thoughtful person, so I want to let people know, like, you know, I've had great experiences with these people. I love, you know, but at the same time, it is a little like pandery fake where it's like, not all white people are in BLM, but white people are in BLM, but not all of them. Yeah, we know not all. Like, you know, I don't even think he wants to take it there. Like, he could, you know, I think it would probably help him in the eyes of many if he just said, you know, I've not all, and, you know, there's been great people in my life that are Jewish. I think that would go a long way, honestly, but he doesn't want to do it. But my thought is, like, I think about Kanye the same way I thought about Trump. I don't talk like Trump. I don't tweet like Trump. But I don't condemn Trump for talking that way he talks, because I think Trump is great and I think Kanye is great. So even though, you know, Trump would say something that maybe was like dumber or not dumber, but more impolitically correct than I would say, I never condemned him for that, because you don't get the little bit of, you know, that with the bad. You know, Michael Jordan might miss a 3-pointer by a lot, but he doesn't suck just because he missed one time. So I always give him the benefit of the doubt. I always had Trump's back over the politically correct nonsense, because who am I to condemn this legend? You know what I'm saying? Trump is in his zone when he was in his zone. I don't care that he messed up a little bit. I know what he meant. You know what he meant with the wall. Stop acting like he hurt all people. He didn't say that. Same thing with Kanye. He's the same type of person. He's not talking about all people. You know that. I know that. Maybe he should make it clear. Maybe Trump should have made stuff clear. You know, yeah, for sure. But I didn't make Yeezus. I didn't make, you know, Jesus is King. I didn't make Graduation. I didn't make Late Registration. I didn't make Beats for Jay-Z. I didn't create a shoe that made billions of dollars. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't do all that. So I'm going to give him a little leeway, because I'm not saying you got to treat someone better just because they're rich or famous, but I consider him like a genius, not only in music, but also in like fashion. You know how hard it is to make it in like 4 different communities and rise to the top? He's doing something right. Everybody makes a shoe. How come everybody's shoe's not big? Because there's a lot of shoes nobody cares about. There's people that are huge stars that never make a big shoe. Something Kanye did right with a shoe. I think it's kind of why Jordan's shoe is good. I think the designs of Yeezy were creative. That's part of it. But Kanye is Kanye. Jordan is Jordan. Jordan's shoe's going to sell because Jordan really is that dude. Kanye's shoes sell because he's really that dude. He's always been that dude. He's always been controversial. So, you know, everybody's shoe doesn't make it. Everybody's fashion line doesn't make it. Everybody can't sell that much merch, and everybody can't make that music. And outside of the music, he's like a visual genius. I'm not just saying this to like deride him. He really is. if you see one of his live shows, I've been to a lot of live shows. The one with Jay-Z was amazing. I heard Kanye designed it. His one with the church choir when he became more Christian was amazing. Like the things he's doing visually and performance wise, I perform myself. I'm art. It's insane. The guy's he's creating masterpieces. He's not just like, oh, I'm going to go up there and rap with my song playing in the background. A lot of people do that. Or I'm going to rap with a live band. He's always making everything so epic. So I'm giving the guy leeway because it's like, I'm a good performer. I would even say I'm a great performer. I'm good on stage. I hit my lyrics. I'm a good performer. Like Kanye's so good that even if you're a great performer, you look at his thing and you're like, how does he even do that? He's got 300 people in a circle and there's trees inside a stadium. It looks like you're in a forest and he's just singing beautiful gospel music to 300 people dancing in unison and he's in the middle. He's incredible. As somebody that's good at that, he's like, he takes it to a level where you're like, damn, he's definitely Jordan. Like Jordan, you think you're good at basketball and then Jordan comes along. You're like, dang, this guy's good. Like this guy's good. So give the guy a little bit of leeway when he uses a frickin' word. That's how I feel. It's a word, bro. Roseanne Barr, I'm going to end on this note, the same way. She's Jewish. She's a woman. It doesn't matter, but I'm just saying for context, she said some shit. Oh, well, that was racist. It's Roseanne Barr. She said a lot of stuff. When she did her woman stuff in the 70s and 80s, nobody wanted to hear it then, but that's what made it amazing. You know, when she made a show and they were doing real issues that everyone wasn't covering, that's what made it incredible. So now she's in her, I don't know how old she is, and she's tweeting. Yeah, it's Roseanne Barr tweeting. What, like, you think she's just going to say normal things? She's not a normal person. But nobody would like her if she was normal. So give her some damn leeway when she tweets about something. It's the same thing with Ye, with Trump, dislike them for real reasons. Don't cancel them. Oh, Trump said something about Mexicans. She said something about Muslims. He said something about Jews. Let them speak. Because usually it's normies who don't do anything that are like, that's too far. People tell me, oh, you're too much. Sometimes I say, you know what? You're not enough. You tell me I'm too much. I'll tell you you're not enough. I don't think you're not enough, but if you think I'm too much, I think you're not enough. You know, how does that feel? I'm not too much. This is how you take it to certain levels and certain things. Yeah, I'm aware I could do certain things better, but let Roseanne tweet. Let her say something. If she apologizes, she apologizes. Let her explain herself. Kanye already explained himself on Lex Fridman. Go watch it. He explained himself. He showed love for Jews. He's just not trying to bend over and go on an apology tour. And if you want him to go on an apology tour, he's not doing it, which makes what he's doing more epic. It wouldn't be better if Kanye just apologized everywhere. That would be lame. Nick Cannon apologized. Marjorie Taylor Greene apologized. Whoopi Goldberg. Who cares? Nobody's going to remember their apologies. Is that what, you might remember their apology, and that's sad because then that apology goes over all the other stuff they did. What does that say about the other stuff they did? Who cares if he apologizes or Roseanne apologizes? So I'm just saying, I keep the same energy with everybody. You could be black, you could be white, you could be Jewish. If you're great, I got your back, okay? If you're epic, and I'm not going to ride it out into dawn if you do something really crazy, but a word, a tweet, a podcast, a label, and you got these normie conservative gatekeepers saying, oh, don't group things together. Shut up. You don't want to group things together. Get a grip. You know what I'm saying? God bless Roseanne Barr. God bless Kanye West. God bless Trump, and I hope Trump returns to Christ because this whole vaccine Republican grift ain't it. And I'm going to say this real quick. Trump, I appreciate you for not apologizing. They're trying to get him to overly apologize for the Ye thing. Trump, you don't got to apologize. You didn't apologize for meeting with Bill Gates. You didn't apologize for meeting with pharmacy donors. You don't have to apologize to these losers. Tell Mitch McConnell to apologize for the last 30 years of his career. Who are these people? I want Trump and Ye to have this energy. Who are you, Mitch McConnell, to tell Donald Trump to apologize? Okay? You're not who you think you are. Okay? You should apologize for your entire recent career. Oh, but he's wrong. He's wrong for having a dinner with Nick Fuentes, but you pass an omnibus bill that screws over the country, but that's fine. Who's allowing these people to even think that they have the moral high ground? That's my energy right now. I'm sorry if it overlaps into people that maybe we were friends or maybe they like me, like, I mean, Tim and Luke, I mean, we never met in person, but like, I'm sorry if you caught the crossfire of this realness, but it's like, stop trying to disparage the grace, okay? And blacklist them for a word. Like, stop that. I'm not having it. God bless you. Appreciate you guys. I'm somehow going to do another live stream. I'm exhausted, but I promised political, I think his name is Political Orgy on Twitter. Quite frankly podcast. I don't know what name he uses, but Quite Frankly podcast. I'll be on his stream. Where is it going to be? I have no idea. I think it's on Rumble. It might be on YouTube. It might be on podcast. I don't know, but the Quite Frankly fans will know where. Maybe look in the comments. They'll say. All right. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.